Hey friends, so after I posted my 100th video and then announced that on my Twitter and my Instagram and stuff like that, people have been congratulating me, people have been asking me how I do it, and it's kind of funny because it's a smallish milestone, 2000 subscribers, 100 videos. In fact, if you ask me, I feel like it's almost a little bit underwhelming. I think at some level the expectation is, or my expectation is like if you have, I don't know, it feels like, I guess because right now I'm used to having 27,000 plus almost 28,000 followers on Twitter, which took me a good 10 plus years to get to. So like the first 7 8 years on Twitter I was under 2,000 followers, and then after that it doubled again, and so I suppose I have gotten somewhat acclimated or accustomed to having a lot of followers on Twitter. And so to some degree I must admit that my YouTube progress does not, I'm not going to say it doesn't feel good. It feels good. It doesn't, it does hit a spot, but like it's not my first rodeo, I guess. So it's the some of the novelty and excitement that you might expect, or I would have experienced the first time around. So even before my Twitter, I used to blog about stuff, and my old political blog used to get a lot of traffic from being shared a bunch. Like I guess you would call it going viral before viral was a thing. But so here we are, and people ask me things like, was it harder at the start or was it harder at the end? And you know what, again, at this point in my life and in my creative work, it doesn't really feel any different. It feels like the first 10 videos and the middle 10 videos and the last 10 videos, they all feel kind of the same. I still feel like, in fact, I feel kind of like I'm still doing the same thing, sitting in the same place, and I'm trying to challenge myself to keep it interesting. And so I think that's the real game. The real game is to sit down in my chair almost every day and record a video almost every day and not get bored of myself. So how do I not get bored of myself, right? That's the real that's the chef's kiss kind of problem solving. And I guess that ties into one of my common talking points, which is actually stolen from Ben Horowitz, who wrote The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Ben Horowitz says, the hard thing is managing your own psychology. It's not doing things that's hard. It's managing your psyche that's hard. Once you've addressed your psychology, everything else is just pushing buttons, pulling levers, picking up the weight, putting it down, squaring the functions, whatever it is. It's all just moving stuff around. But the difficult thing is your feelings. The difficult thing is when you don't feel like doing it, how do you persuade yourself into doing it? Or should you not? Should you not do it instead? Like those are the difficult decisions. And I do feel like my YouTube game will get more interesting once we have a livelier comment section. I know this from my Twitter. So one of the great things about my Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, is that my mentions are a great place. But also, that's not the whole picture, because half of what is good about my Twitter threads are that I reference old tweets, and I've really kind of understood the medium and I push the medium forward. I can say that about my Twitter, which is a pretty cool thing to be able to say, because it sounds arrogant and cocky, but it's the truth. It's the truth that I am one of the people on Twitter whose elaborate and comprehensive and complex use of the medium, I know how that sounds, um, pushes it forward. People watch me tweet and do threads, and they tell me that they have learned from how I do things, and people have been telling me that watching me do my YouTube thing has also kind of encouraged them in some way. I think because people do have this expectation that if you're gonna do a YouTube channel, it has to have some kind of theme, it has to have some kind of whatever it is that people see successful YouTube accounts having. And I guess the kind of derpy truth there is that you don't have to do what successful people are doing. You can do whatever you want. That's the kind of aha moment, in a sense. So what do I want with my YouTube? Well, as I said earlier, I want to grow an audience and have, and again, people say audience, like, I want more followers, I want more likes, comments, and subscribes. I want yeah, I'm feeling a bit I'm not sick, but I'm like coughing and sneezing today. I don't know why. I think I took a nap and there's like cat fur in my nose. Anyway, what was I saying? The point of building an audience for me, right, is that people. I don't necessarily want a large audience. I want a smart and thoughtful audience that gives me stuff to play with. You know, so I want to play with people. I want to experiment with people's ideas and fool around and stuff like that. But, and you know, I mentioned in my last video that the skill set that I'm trying to develop so far is to get better at speaking. So it's like my baseline verbal skills I'm trying to improve. I know that I can think pretty well in text. I can write very comprehensive essays and blog posts and Twitter threads and stuff. I'm trying to get better at navigating an issue with my mouth, right? Verbally, and get used to expressing, you know, the things that come with verbal expression are tone of voice and pacing and rhythm and you know, you can be sarcastic, you can state things in a very kind of strained way to demonstrate uncertainty or tentativeness or whatever. And yeah, so I guess I'm practicing all of those things so that I can then do elaborate video essays that I can't currently imagine myself doing yet, right? But I can imagine imagining, if that makes sense. Like I can't visualize what my best YouTube essays are gonna be. I can imagine that a bunch of my Twitter threads would actually do better as YouTube videos than as Twitter threads, right? So the Twitter thread is basically a script, or it's basically a screenplay, I guess, right? Like I'm emulating what a video could do better. Like how, you know, if you write a fight scene in a book, it's always gonna be a shittier approximation than like if you choreograph a fight scene in a movie. But you know, a book, you can spend chapters and chapters digging into someone's internal monologue, and doing that in a movie would be stale and boring. So with every medium, you want to find what it is that the medium lets you do that you can't do as well in any other medium. I think I figured that out on Twitter. I'm still trying to figure it out on YouTube. That's part of what keeps me going and why I want to keep making new videos every day. And once I get good at that, gosh, my speaking is really sloppy today. But once I get good at that, then I expect to like unlock new skills. So that's, I guess, the 7 minutes in, but I'm saying that the video that I'm making now is about what keeps me going and kind of how to stay motivated. And while there are some, you know, nice goals on the horizon, like, oh, it will be nice to get to 5,000 and 10,000 subscribers. It would be nice when you know, some of my friends who don't follow me on Twitter kind of validate me when they see me doing well on YouTube, whatever. But like, that's just, you know, that's hedonic stuff. That's stuff you get used to. That's stuff that, you know, you start to take for granted immediately after you get it, stuff like that. It doesn't satisfy deeply. What satisfies me deeply, I think, is really exploring a new medium, getting into it, really understanding it, deconstructing it, pulling it apart, pushing it to its limits, trying all of those things. And that's what really excites me. So that's what keeps me motivated. And that's why I'm going to publish this video, and that's why I'm going to make another video tomorrow. Even if I don't particularly feel like it, if I have a stuffy nose like I do now, I don't know why. I haven't gone out. But anyway, yeah, if you have any follow-up questions about motivation, mediums, whatever, just hit me in the comments. Done.